the things they find at these volcanic vents at the bottom of the ocean. They're like, oh, we didn't even know that something could survive down here.
Right.
There could be a type of life that survives in the void of space. And it wouldn't be a biological thing. It would be some form of energy or light.
Wow, this is apparently what all the spooks were telling Tom DeLonge when he went to the Pentagon, that there's amoebas in space the size of whales, and that these things were essentially.
That's what they told him?
Yeah, I remember when he was
DeLonge,
on he was on Fade to Black, and he was talking about that there are these amoebas in space that are
But why would they tell him? And then he goes on those shows and tells I feel like that's the type of guy that you tell some things that you want to get out. Yeah, and it doesn't necessarily have to be true.
No.
A matter of fact, it's more fun if it's not true. And make him say as much kooky shit as possible so that the stuff that he's going to say that's true looks ridiculous.
And now all of those guys that gave him that information are on the Age of Disclosure documentary.
Exactly.
Yeah, we should trust them, right?
Yeah.
We should trust all of these government spooks.
It's fun. If you're playing, it's like the world is a gigantic escape room. You're playing a bunch of weird puzzles and you're trying to figure it out, but nothing is what it seems.
I think nothing's as it seems. I think with Tom DeLonge and the UFO subject and To the Stars Academy and all the things that have happened since 2017, New York Times, it's I have opinions on it. But despite what anyone wants to say about Stephen Greer, and I've got my own issues with Stephen Greer. What's interesting to me is that the only person really who was making noise prior to TTSA was Stephen Greer. He was the one that was putting out Netflix documentaries that were getting seen by millions of people all over the world. And he was saying, these are black budget illegal programs. This is a anti-congressional crime against humanity. We need to be busting down the doors. This is, not exactly what they would want to hear if they were inside the national security state. And there's this guy out there saying this. What do you do about that? Well, do you know how Tom DeLonge got linked up at the very beginning to all of this?
No.
So he's always been a UFO guy, and because of his background and the money, he was able to secure connections, and he was very friendly with Greer. He was best buds with Greer at one point. In fact, there's a video of him when he's quite young, and he's pointing out all of the UFO witness tapes that he's got in his library, and he's like, these are all I'm holding on to these for a guy. He's got 50 whistleblowers. He's bringing this all out, and this is before Greer, kind of made the announcement. So it's obviously Greer. And Tom DeLonge's on Fade to Black in, I want to say 2015, talking about this, where he tells a story of how a friend of his at Lockheed Martin calls him up and says, hey, we're having a family and friends meet and greet over at Lockheed Martin. Would you want to introduce the bosses to the stage? And he said, yeah, but I want 10 minutes with your bosses afterwards. And they were like, okay. And so he went and he introduced them on stage, and then he tells a story of being taken through, these white noise corridors and down into this place where eventually he was chilling with the guys at Skunk Works, and, these big directors are all sitting in this room. They're like, okay, what is it you want to talk about? And this is where he pitches To the Stars Academy of Arts and Science and this framework. And what's interesting is on the radio when he's talking about this, he's saying, you have to approach these guys like you want to be of service. I was saying I'm being of service. I want to help. So you've got a disruptive rogue person out there, Stephen Greer, saying all this stuff, causing commotion. What do we do about that? I have no idea. Suddenly, in walks a rock star. Use me. Because that's basically what he said. Use me. I'm happy to do whatever. I am your conduit into the public. Now, no disrespect to Tom. I've met him. He's a lovely guy, and he's very passionate about the subject. But I do think he was used. And what you get from there is the To the Stars Academy platform. Suddenly, you have this official kind of green-lit disclosure, very soft disclosure that's nothing like Stephen Greer's disclosure. And we're all being encouraged to partake and support in this very, what should we say, curated method of soft disclosure for the people. I think that they were very worried about what type of disruptive truths might come out before it was time to talk about them. And then suddenly Tom DeLonge was a very useful medium for communicating this. And when you see things like the WikiLeaks emails between him and John Podesta, where he's literally saying this is about bolstering PR for the military-industrial complex from a disenfranchised youth, and the generations of youth today don't trust the government. We want to change that. We want to change the perception of the military and the government. He's literally emailing John Podesta about this. So it's very clear that at the very least he was willing to be the messenger of whatever message they wanted to give him. And it just so happens that that message completely counteracts what Greer is talking about in terms of classified black budget programs that have already cracked reverse engineering. We cracked anti-gravity in October 1954, this kind of stuff. It's like complete reversal of that narrative.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, makes sense. That's what's the term? Useful idiots?
Useful idiot.
Yeah, they love doing that.
Yeah.
And, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I know I've had people on this podcast that were doing that with me. And I know they were coming on saying a bunch of nonsense. But you have to let them talk because
for sure,
the truth comes out in the wash.
For sure.
And I think what's interesting about the age of disclosure is this narrative of the reality of what happened. If it did happen, there's lying to Congress, there's misappropriation of funds, you're going to need amnesty. And so this is the narrative. Mm-hmm. This narrative is we need amnesty. Mm-hmm. It's like it's kind of a smart way to do it, right?
Is.
Do it in a documentary, have all these people that are probably implicated in some way say we need amnesty.
Yeah.
All these people that say that they know about these programs, amnesty is important because these people have been. But what they've been doing, really, if they have been doing what we assume they've been doing, we assume they've retrieved crashed UFOs and they've back-engineered them. We assume they've used that technology. We assume they're aware that there's non-human intelligences that are far beyond our technological capabilities and that we interact with them. You've committed a crime against humanity by not telling people that, because we all operate under the assumption that we have an understanding of what our role is in this ecosystem of life. And if our role is not even remotely at the apex, if we are being visited and manipulated, and if we're actually a product of experiments, you should fucking tell us. You guys can't be hanging out at Raytheon in the fucking conference room.
Can you believe this shit? Like,
with your gold Rolexes on. Dude. You motherfuckers.
Right.
Tell everybody.
But we can't handle the truth,
but
right?
They're
we
right.
can't handle it.
They are right with the amnesty thing. I think that's the pathway. I mean, look, these guys are not gonna.
No.
What they stole, they stole.
Yeah.
Okay. What they did, they did. What the lying to Congress, the lies have been told. Let's fucking find out what the truth is. These guys, whatever they did, they did. Okay. You didn't stop it then. Let it go. The more important thing is let's find out if this is real.